Hi everyone, this is Sagar Shah and I am here with a new idea today where I am going to show you the critical moment of the fourth game of the World Championship match on this huge giant chess set which is right outside the World Championship playing hall. Now this is the position that was reached with Carlsen having the white pieces and Nepo having black, and the move that was played by Nepo here was the very interesting one. Let me come to it, but first let's have a look at the position. There is an open e file for the white rook. There is a backward c3 pawn for white. There is a weakened d5 pawn for black. Also, the rook on a1 puts pressure on the a7 point. So that is something to worry about. Here, Nepo trying to avoid his problems, pushes his pawn to a5. Now this right there is a protected passed pawn. That pawn is protected by its pawn on d6. Now most players here would play b takes a6. What's that called? En passant. Absolutely. The pawn is removed from the board. Here b takes a6, and this position after, let's say, knight takes a6 would be pretty okay for black. You know, oh, well, small weakness here, but pieces are getting exchanged. c3 is weak, b6 is weak. It should end in a draw. But this, according to me, was the most critical moment of the game when Nepo pushed his pawn to b5. Guess what Carlsen did? If you haven't seen the game, try to think on your own. What was the move that Carlsen made here, which was simply phenomenal? Actually, phenomenal in the sense it was very, very different kind of a move which no one had thought of. Carlsen played the move knight to h4. Wow, what a move here. Now with this move, what Carlsen is saying is that, look, you have a protected passer on a5, but I don't really care. I am coming to f5 with my knight, which will hit your bishop on d6. Nepo here instantly played g6. He said, I'm going to stop your knight from coming to f5 square. And this is where now Carlsen unleashed another amazing move. He played the move g4. And why was this move played? The reason is that this knight over here, friends, was on f3, correct? From f3, it was diagonally one square opposite to the pawn on d5. So in order for it to attack this pawn, it takes three moves. So from h4, it now goes to g2 to e3, and then it attacks this pawn. What a brilliant concept. After this, Nepo said, might as well quickly develop my knight. He brought his knight to d7. The white knight went back to g2 here. And the idea is to quickly get it to either e3 or f4, but Nepo was super quick. He got his rook f to c8, attacking the pawn on c3, and already black was doing very well, and the game ended in a draw. I asked Carlsen that, what idea did you have with knight h4 in the post-game conference? You know, I was like, why did you play your knight to h4? Because Nepo was able to draw, and Carlsen said Nepo found the best way to hold the position. If he had done something differently, he might have been in trouble. So I tried to think what was that, and one of the lines which I felt was the critical one was starting with knight f6. I think this is the move that could have been very dangerous, very natural. You are attacking the pawn on g4, you also want to come to e4 and attack the pawn on c3, but Carlsen would have gone bishop h6, attacking the rook here, and now the rook has to move. It goes rook c8, attacking the pawn on c3, but then you go knight, you first go knight to e3 now, and he must take the pawn on c3 with his rook, and then comes the move. This is a big exercise for me. g5, attacking the knight, and then when the knight moves, I will take your pawn on d5. attacking your rook and also the pawn on b6. This could have been something that Carlsen was angling for, but Nepo had none of it. He just simply moved his rook to c8, took on c3, Carlsen took on d5, and he managed to hold it to a draw effortlessly. That is what top class preparation is all about. This was game 4. I hope you enjoyed this thing. I want to give a shout out to Amruta, who's standing up there and shooting this. And thank you guys. If you liked it, please let me know in the comments. See you. Bye bye.